and going forward, at least for now. And myself and Gregory Wexler are going to be reviewing and posting the log in the log that we're from what we're posting in the main chat of the Zoom meeting, and aggregating that and recording the respect earned by everyone and their respective groups. And we have tallied up everything from the previous meetings, which I will cover here again in just a moment. So the idea here is that Fractally Genesis is going to continue to evolve, and we're going to add improvements based on everyone's feedback. And while this is largely a manual solution at the moment, the insights that you share with us going along are going to go a long way towards improving the experience. And so just in the first few minutes here, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of information, and then we're going to cut to an AMA with Dan. And I might fly through this kind of fast just to make sure it doesn't take too long. So what we're going to do is review some of the steps, and we've added some things that are new and required going forward. So the first thing you need to know is we do have an agreement now to sign. It's based on the Google document that was circulating, the Fractally Contributor Agreement. And now it is a post on Hive that Dan made, and we're just going to respond or reply with a comment to that post. If you do agree to it, you're responding with the comment, I agree. And this is going to be a requirement as we move on. It's okay if you didn't sign it, before today, because you may not have even known about it until right now. I'll put the post in the chat again here in a few minutes when I'm not sharing the screen. And it's also in the online community. It's in several of the Telegram groups. And if you're having trouble finding it, just reach out to me and I'll make sure you can get it easily. You can also just go to Dan's account on hive.blog. The other thing is we're going to be requiring Hive accounts going forward. And so in order to sign that agreement that I just mentioned, you have to have or obtain a Hive account. And the EOS accounts will not be able to sign the Hive post. So that's, probably that just makes sense. And if you don't have a Hive account today, that's okay, as we mentioned, but going forward, you need to create one. You can go to signup.hive.io to get your Hive account. There's a few different ways to create one. And a gentleman, Jason, just mentioned he's going to help with the process of doing that. I'm also curating some video tutorials on different ways you can do it. And I think what we want to do is try to figure out what's the best, simplest way for now for most people to do it, and just kind of recommend that. The other thing we'd like you to do is edit or rename your Zoom display name when you enter the meeting. And ideally you have your first name and your last name, because it helps us with identifying you. And then in parentheses, just put your Hive user account name. And many of us have done that. If you don't have a Hive account for today and you want to it could also be helpful, like Felix added his EOS account and he put @EOS to distinguish that it was an EOS account and not a Hive account. And that will also be helpful for today. But next week, you need your Hive account ideally. So if you need help with that, just reach out. The other thing is so Gregory and I have tallied up the stats basically from the last few meetings, and we'd like everyone to check their rank and their respect. And this has been posted as an article in the Fractally Genesis group within the online community. So let me just take you there real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. This is what the post looks like on Hive. Genesis Fractal Contributor Agreement. And you're just going to the comment section and clicking this button that says reply, and then you're adding I agree. So now we're on chain signing that agreement. So if you go to the online community, you'll start off on the home page, and on the left there's all these options. And if you go to groups, there is the Fractally Genesis group. And in here there's a featured post, Fractally Genesis stats and score as of March 12th, which was our last meeting. And if you open that up, there's a PDF and a little bit of extra information. So that's where you can find the stats, and I'll probably post this a few other places, maybe even message it to the members. Probably all of you in the group got notifications, but just to make sure nobody's missing that. And what we'd like you to do is verify that the information, matches your own recollection and records. And After checking the data, if you do see any discrepancies, you can respond to that post, or you could message myself or Gregory what might need to be corrected, so we can get that corrected if necessary. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to go over the agenda and the process for the meeting today. We have a little mission statement that's been created for this particular group, this Genesis Fractal, and what we're seeking to do is to raise awareness and grow adoption of fractal governance and of fractally. So that is our definite purpose for being together here and experimenting. So as you're thinking about contributing, which you'll see the question here in a moment of what we'll be going over in our meetings today in the breakout rooms, it's all basically in this spirit of raising awareness and growing adoption of fractal governance and fractally. Okay, so the schedule for today is I'm going through this overview with you right now in our main room, and at the 15-minute mark, we're going to cut to AMA with Dan, and then, well, I guess let me just show you that. So today's meeting is this part is 30 minutes. You can post your account info if you haven't already. So everyone must, if you have your Hive account, if you don't, just use EOS. Everyone must post their Hive or their EOS user account to the breakout room chat. And this is just reaffirming again one more time this week that you do agree to the Fractal Contributor Agreement. And if you don't agree to it, then you should leave the call or the meeting because you need to agree to that to be participating. And if you continue to participate, I think you'll also be assuming that you agree to it. But just to be sure to post your account info. The other thing is when we go into the breakout rooms, that's going to be it's going to be 25 minutes of basically sharing a little bit about yourself and your contribution. So the rooms are going to be randomly selected, and you're going to be placed in a room of 5 to 6 people. And as soon as you get in the room, you want to once again repost your account info, which helps us with the tracking. It also is reaffirming again that you are consciously agreeing to this Fractal Contributor Agreement that everyone has to agree to be participating. So the way that you do that is you just post your Hive account, or for today, you can also, if you don't have a Hive account, you can post your EOS account. It would be helpful if you add @EOS to it like we did last week. And again, if you don't agree, you should not be participating. You should leave the meeting. So the real intention here for the first 25 minutes is to share your contributions. And so we have 3 questions. And I think we're going to share a little bit of subtle difference about how you might want to approach this part of the meeting. But the first question is, what have you done to raise awareness about fractal governance and fractally? And this would be in the past week, but it would also be lifetime contributions relative to lifetime compensation. And so I think Dan may expand on this a little bit in the AMA. And have you invited anyone to participate, and did they accept? So it's important to grow the group for this experiment and to have a nice seat of people. So anyone who's doing this is really contributing a lot. Anyone who's inviting people to participate, and so we want to reward and acknowledge people who are doing that. And then, how did you rank last week? So these are the 3 main questions. I'll post those in the chat before we go into the breakout rooms once I'm off screen share here. And then after about 25 minutes of doing that or less, then the last 20 minutes is you're starting the consensus process. And this is where you want to select an individual in your group to document the ranking as you reach consensus. So again, you're looking for just one person to keep score as the group is coming to consensus together. And the way that you want to begin your consensus conversation is via identifying who has contributed the most relative to their past recognition. And you want to get 4 of 6 or 3 of 5, if you're in a group of 5, to come to agreement. And this will be the user who gets ranked 6 for that week, the highest ranking. So you're not going to everyone make a list and post that. You're all going to come to agreement, 4 out of 6, 3 out of 5, on who has contributed the most. After coming to agreement on that, then you want to identify the second best contributor. and they will get the rank of 5. And then you'll repeat that until agreement on the relative ranking of each contribution, until you've ranked everyone in the group, going through that process. And one person is helping everyone keep score. So then you're going to publish the consensus order listing with the Hive account names or the EOS account with @EOS to the breakout chat from greatest contribution to least. And you're going to use this format. So you're going to put the username of the person who's ranked number 6 @Hive with a comma. If they don't have a Hive, you can use @EOS. And then the next user, their username @Hive or @EOS with a comma. And you just continue in that process. So this is the format. I'll also post that in the chat. And everyone in the breakout chat should agree and copy the text. And that's a key point. Just copy whoever is in charge of formatting that text. Just copy it. And then when you rejoin the main chat, that's where you're going to be posting it. If there are less than 6 members in your group, you can use this format here. You can use if for some reason you don't even have a person rank 2, you can just put @none. Rank 2 @none, rank 1 @none, and this represents the missing users. And then we're going to rejoin the main room, and we'll have about most likely 15 minutes. And what you're going to do is post the copy of your group consensus list to the main group chat in the same form. So this is the format that we're using. And if you do not post in this format, or you have a typo, the community may not be able to reach consensus opinion on how much respect to assign to you. So it's really important to try to keep that format. And then we will pretty much conclude the meeting. We'll have some final comments, maybe a little group Q&A, and then the meeting is done, and we'll say thank you. And then the final thing I would mention is we want to thank everybody here for your participation and contributions. And let's all remember that we're here to learn and engage and network and share this connection with each other, and most importantly, to have fun in the process. If we don't have fun together during these meetings, it kind of defeats the purpose, and we're sort of missing the point. And that's pretty much it.
All right. Thank you so much, Josh. So there's a couple of things I want to address going forward. Just general enhancements to the process. All of us who have been regular attenders, we don't need to review this every single week. So I've proposed to Josh that we have 30 minutes, or maybe just only 15 minutes, but 30 minutes before the official meeting time, the room will open to new users. So if you're inviting someone new, you can show up then, and we can cover all the basics of what's going to happen for the new users, so that for regular users, we can hit the ground running, and we can shorten the time commitment and avoid repeating ourselves every single week. And that will be part of the overall streamlining process. The second is I wanted to address some perspective on how to rank users. In the way that I would imagine it is, which contributor's contribution do you would be most upset for losing, right? Sometimes you don't appreciate things until you lose it. So, say, well, if we had to just nuke one person's entire contribution, which would be the worst one to nuke? That's the one that should be ranked highest, and then so forth on down the line, with the lowest ranking one being the one that, if you had to pick one to just do without, that's the one you do without. Sort of an inversion. It's another test of or mental tool for figuring out priorities. So yeah, that's that. I see Chris Barnes has a question.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Two questions. The first one, can you explain about the terms and conditions that we're expected to sign? I recall with Eden, there was nothing like that at all. And even now, there's still just a basic one-page peace treaty versus this six-page document. So I'm just kind of curious the intention behind that. And then the second question is
Can
there,
I answer one question at a time?
sure, absolutely. If I can ask the second one, yeah, great.
Yeah. All right. So the difference with Eden is there were no tokens or anything that could be perceived as a token or a token allocation. But because we are allocating respect and we're tracking all of that, the agreement is primarily to acknowledge that we're just dealing with opinions here, and we're not creating any securities. That's not the intention. We're not holding any grounds to sue anyone for performance or not performance, and a whole bunch of waivers associated with that type of thing. So 99% of the document is just to establish we won't sue anyone, and we're not expecting anyone to do anything. This is all voluntary. Everything is a donation of your time and energy, and it's because if you don't say those types of things, the government will impute things or try to infer or imply things that were not otherwise there. So that's why it's so long. That's why there's all these disclosures and risks and all these other things, just so that everyone participating has as much information, as much disclosure as possible. And it really protects us all. The one thing that's different about this contributor agreement compared to, say, the Block 1 token sale agreement is that was between Block 1 and the users. This is peer-to-peer. So you're not obligated to anyone else any more than anyone else is obligated to you. It's completely symmetrical, which means it protects everyone equally, is the intent. And that's why it's long. It's just because there's 1,000 different ways that governments try to assign liability to people.
Perfect. Okay. Maybe just a suggestion then, in terms of reducing friction and some of these types of documents, when you read this, I have to agree to this, and it's 6 pages and it's legalese, it kind of turns people off. So there might be some value in a very human, very plain English preface as to like what really the purpose is behind this document. If you're allowed to do that, that doesn't break any legal rules. It might might ease people into this to just understand what exactly is the point of this 6-pager. And then the second question I have, go ahead. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I say it's if you have a little disclaimer and you say this is the summary of this document, people just rely on that disclaimer and don't actually read the document. I know it's friction, and it's a friction that the government enforces on us. And if anything we try to do to make it easier, we're taking it a step further than Block 1 did when they posted the agreement and there was some website we checked it. But here is we actually have cryptographic signatures on it, and we're verifying it just so that there's no room to say. And there's just a number of other things. So that's okay. I understand what it is, but yeah.
Yeah, just trying to improve onboarding. Okay, the last question is a quick one. Is there focus yet about looking at work that we've done in the past 7 days versus work that we've done in entirety? I think there's still some confusion when we get into the breakout room. People are going to talk about what they've done in total versus what they've done in the past 7 days. And my understanding is the future expectation is it's just a 7-day summary that you get paid for, essentially, or reimbursed for, compensated for. So when do we start making it just about 7 days?
It's not just about 7 days. And the reason it's not just about 7 days is because, if last week you were in a group that couldn't reach consensus, then you still contributed to the community. It just wasn't recognized. And any single group is a bad measurement. What you're looking at is a measurement over time. So I would tend to say that you're looking at maybe the past month or two is the eligible stuff, and what you should be doing is say these are the things I've done. And this is what I've been recognized for so far, right? I've attended 3 meetings. In those meetings, I got this rank, and this rank. My rank was low because I was in a meeting with, a full-time fractally employee, or I was in a meeting with, some celebrity. I don't know, whatever the situation may be. It doesn't mean that your contribution wasn't worth more. It's just you were in that particular group. So it's the, look at the recent past, right? Past couple months, basically the window during which we're trying to average, get a reasonable average measurement. And you want to rank people according to who's the least appreciated, right? So what would be the most fair to kind of like level things up based upon past recognition versus past contributions, but not lifetime contribution, right? It's not like you do something one time, you can just sit on it for years. But there's this window of time during which, hey, this is being averaged. And if you start saying, well, 3 months ago I did X, then you might want to ask, why are you talking about something 3 months ago? Do you really feel that for the past 3 months you've been attending meetings and you haven't been fairly recognized for what you did 3 months ago? And maybe if what you did 3 months ago is give $1 trillion and it's going to take 2 years worth of contributions to make up for your $1 trillion contribution to the community's cause, maybe that's acceptable, but it's going to be harder and harder to justify the older it gets. And it's also harder to evaluate because it's just over 3 months, there's a lot of work that can be done. So definitely biased toward the most recent week. And then maybe a couple weeks before. But more importantly, once you feel like you've received fair and just compensation, stop mentioning it. You say, I feel like I've been fairly compensated for the things I've done. I'm not going to mention that. If you're mentioning something that you've done, it's because you feel like, in your opinion, you haven't been, relative to everyone else, compensated. Now, keep in mind that it's not necessarily the dollar value. Our time's priceless, and all these things. But you look at do you think the system's fair? Do you think you've received your fair cut based upon what you see everyone else getting? Once you've done that and you've crossed that threshold, you can drop that topic. And when you're interviewing other people in the meetings, try to focus in on that question: is what is it that you think? What ranking would you need and for how long in order to drop this particular thing? As something that you're advocating for. One of the other things I didn't see mentioned is that starting next week, I think everyone should prepare a paragraph or a bullet point item of the things that you are asking to be ranked by, and you'll post that at the start of the meeting, and you'll limit the discussion to those points. This text will then be entered into the log, and then people can actually see, hey, you've been mentioning this exact same thing, right? You're getting credit for inviting somebody over and over and over again. Maybe you should drop that from your list because you mentioned it for 20 weeks in a row, and it's just sort of a way of keeping things focused on that. Eric, you have a question?
Yes, thank you for your time. I was wondering how to get up to speed with the team that is behind Fractally, the people that we would not want to lose, because I look at the GitHub and I see 2 names, and it's not really clear, even though I'm in Telegram a bit, but I can't keep up with everything. So maybe an introduction at this point would be at this time frame or weekly to give the team a chance to share to everyone.
All right. So the Fractally team I don't see any other Fractally team members on here. I guess Joshua is.
We've got Mike. We've got Brandon. Gregory's on here.
Yep.
Okay. So got Brandon and Mike. And Gregory. A lot of the C++ smart contract developers are actually kind of shy and don't like to appear on cameras. So they're actually not attending We have about 12 people that are working on fractally full time in front end and back end in smart contract work all around. So we've actually got a pretty sizable team. A lot of the work is being done in a private GitHub repo at the moment, and we will be unveiling that in a little bit. But there are a number of people, and all fractally team members will identify themselves as a fractally team member. My request is that even if every fractally team member automatically was ranked 6, fractally as a whole would be getting less than 40% of the respect, and the community of people contributing would be getting 60%. So please recognize those team members. Their respect that they're earning for showing up here is a meaningful incentive for them to contribute to the company, and it's also a way for the company to earn respect in the community. So please, if you appreciate what we're doing for funding this, for building the tools to automate this, don't hesitate to put fractally team members high on the list. That's my opinion. Felix, you had a question?
Yeah, it was kind of question proposal. We talked about it last week as far as like the ranking, ranking the #1 slot being 6. I just think moving forward that's going to continue to confuse newcomers, I think. So I think maybe, I guess my proposal would be maybe switch the #1 ranking to 1, and we go down. I just think that's just more intuitive, and I think that could cause issues with people being confused with the rankings moving forward. It's just kind of a suggestion proposal.
Suggestion noted. It's obviously a point of confusion. The reason why we rank from 6 down is because we go to multiple rounds, your rank continues to go up, and your rank is actually represents your position in the Fibonacci sequence. But yes, the highest rank to lowest rank is, I guess, think of it that way, but noted. Joshua, you had a question.
I was wondering if, before we go into the breakout rooms here in a moment, if you could just remind everyone, like if we were using the full product right now, what would be the importance of wanting to be ranked the highest, of really being competitive about it?
Okay. So in theory, what we're allocating respect tokens. Respect tokens have value based upon how much our community values it, but also how much the outside world values it. And when these tokens are valued, it incentivizes more contributions to the public good. And people value it when they trust it, and they trust it when they see that the people that are actually doing the most work are the most recognized. And if the outside perspective and inside perspective is that, well, it doesn't really matter how much work you do, it matters who you are, or how many friends you have, or things like that, or it goes completely socialist, that might actually undermine the integrity of the community's respect internally and externally. There's one other thing you mentioned, Josh, that you wanted me to address.
Are there any governance powers associated with ranking high?
Yes. Yeah. So you're also not just ranking individual contributions; you're considering their team, right? So start thinking about who you want to be on your team, and we'll start logging teams, and your team will get bonus as well. You can't change teams once you pick a team, so pick your team wisely. But then once the product is live, then your team will get to decide of your team members how you're going to divide up the pot. And then there is some governance powers that goes along with this. The highest ranked teams will pick a leader, and that leader will go on the council, and that council gets to propose things that the community can then, that either the teams can veto or the community can veto, which means that the people that you are electing as the greatest contributor also has the power to veto council actions like upgrading smart contract or changing community bylaws or things like that. So the highest ranked, rank 6, or if you're multiple rounds, then rank 11, or 12. That rank is carrying an additional governance power that the other ones don't have. So please consider that. Also, when you're ranking people, you're ranking them impacts their vote weight. So when you have the social media platform that's kind of like Hive, you're also saying that you trust the person, right? They did these contributions and you're trusting them. Someone who can't be trusted, doesn't matter what they contribute, that trust would actually is a negative. If they're untrustworthy and they abuse it, that's a negative contribution to the community. So trust and integrity is a huge part of value contribution, and the lack of that is negative value. It's hurting the community, and so we want to seek that out and not reward it, at the very least, not reward untrustworthy or corrupt individuals, and then eventually, once the governance process is in there, disqualify people from participating if consensus is that they're a net negative instead of a positive to the community's reputation. And that's that. So I don't want to be too much later. We're already eating into our scheduled time. So Josh, if you can create a breakout room.
Oops. I've got 6 breakout rooms, 5 to 6 people. And if we're ready to go, I'm ready to click the button.
Hold on a second. Okay. Yep, I am ready for you to click the button.
All right, here we go. Start your timers.
All right, room 4 in the house.
Hey everyone.
Hey everyone.
Hello. How's everyone today?
Good. How are you?
Awesome. All right,
Good to see y'all.
do we want to do some intros?
Sure, I'm happy to do it however you want. Also, I have an echo. Do you hear my echo, or is that just me?
No, you sound fine, man.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So
Right.
I'll just go first, I guess, because I was talking. I'm Dan Singjoy, and I have a bit of a presentation about how I've been helping Fractally and Fractal Governance that I'm excited to share later on, and I'm happy to meet y'all and excited to be here. Thanks, everybody.
Do you want to appoint who's next so that each one who introduces, they say who's next and then so on. That would be easiest.
Okay, sure. Do you want to go next round?
Sure. So, hi guys. I'm Hernan Arber, originally from Mexico, now live in Israel. I'm founder of EOS Israel and EOS Starter. So basically, I'm best out here in Israel, dedicated most of my 4 years to EOS, the EOS ecosystem, promoting all things EOS and bringing also companies and entrepreneurs here and abroad to, get them to build on EOS and expose them the wonders of DPoS. So basically, the last thing I was starting to get, I helped got started is the Helios VC with Brock Pierce. So that was kind of a late kind of big venture that I was involved in. But basically, my contribution to Fractally has been basically both being part of the conversation back and forth and promoting Fractally through EOS Israel and all the community we have here. So that is, I think, basically it. I don't know if we're doing the intro plus the pitch, but I don't really have a pitch other than that because I don't have a list of specific contributions that I want to show. So I guess this is pretty much it. So Shakruz, you want to go next?
Yes, Imran, thank you. Can you hear me? Is my sound fine? Okay, good. So my name is Shakruz Ashraf. I am from Uzbekistan. It's West Asia or Central Asia. I used to live in the States, but in Russia, in the US, in Singapore, but now I'm back in Uzbekistan, West Asia. I'm a developer. I've been developing for many years, and I'm doing dApps and smart contracts. And I do have a pitch, and I have a list, and I'll post a link to it once the time comes, and I'll tell what I've done this week. I've been since last week. I've been actually full-time on Fractally. This week, I'm not paid. I'm not in the team, but I loved so much because I got ranked 6th last week, and I loved it. So I just put all my time, and it was really interesting. It was really important to me. I think.
I felt from meeting that it's a virtuous cycle that if you get rated higher, you tend to do more
Yeah.
of the next time. But I don't want to digress.
Yes.
You should
Okay,
go
so
to the next
that's
one.
yeah, that's my intro. So Douglas, hello. Yeah, nice to meet you again.
Hello. My name is Douglas. I'm from the United States. I'm currently in Medellin. I've been a digital nomad for 4 years. I've also been a developer since I was 16. I built an app in PHP, MySQL when I was 16, and I've been sort of into development ever since then. My company is Current Exchange LLC. We were founded in 2014. We build on Wax. Our dApp is cxe.world. Beyond CXC, I'm very interested in both biomimetic economies and sort of fractal economies. And my sort of contribution in that field is to introduce the primitives of time and the primitives of geolocation so that we can have geotribes and basically create new financial systems, create new governance systems. So yeah, that's who I am, and that's why I'm here, is to learn. And I also did contribute in this past week, and I also have a list I can share whenever, I guess we'll go through again and do our contributions. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for everybody being here, and I'm grateful we're all on the same mission.
I'll go last. Thank you, Douglas. I'm Matt Langston. I'm a physicist and a system software engineer for Apple. Apple's been on remote working for the last couple of years. So Douglas, like you, I've been a nomad. So I'm an explorer. So I built a camper van. So I've been working for Apple, but full time. But traveling the American West in my camper van. And trying to save the world. No joke, all joking, no joking here, with by joining Fractally. That's why I contribute my time. Very happy with what I do with my day job. I love my day job, but I'm afraid we're out of time. So I want to really help Fractally. I want to see if we can make this thing work.
If you manage to get Apple to accept EOS, you'll probably be the highest contributor for a very long time.
Who would like to be our scribe for our rankings? Does anyone want to volunteer for that?
So what do you mean by scribe? The one who
So I'm reading Joshua's directions to us. He says, during your consensus process, select an individual in your group to document the rankings as you reach consensus. Begin your consensus conversation and then he gives us the process. So I'll be the scribe. I'll go ahead and do it. I'll volunteer. And unless somebody else wants to do it. And now we need to, pick who's number 6. So I think we need to go through and hear about everyone's recent contributions. And like we heard Dan say, if you think you weren't compensated fairly, for previous past contributions, now's the time to bring it up and to hear your pitch. Who'd like to go first?
I'm happy to go first, or if anybody else would like to go first, then
yeah. Let's by default let's keep the order of intros, so it's kind of circular FIFO style.
Okay.
So Dan, you're up.
Okay, cool. One question that I had too, should we? I know that we posted our Hive account names in the beginning. Are we supposed to do that during this breakout meeting as well to make it easier for each other? I think that would probably be helpful to do in the chat. So we don't have
Or we
to.
can rename. We can also rename ourselves, like I'm doing now. So I said Hernan, and then I say like this, and then I add to my name. If you can see it now, my Hive username. So that's also possible, because when we post it here, it posts to the main room over there,
I don't think it
like
does.
to everyone.
I will go ahead and as the scribe, I'll go ahead and take care of that, Dan. So you go ahead with your
Okay.
pitch, and I'll make sure I have that all information. And I'll post what I believe the consensus is, and then we can discuss to make sure that I got it right.
Okay, cool. Sounds great. Thank you so much, Matt, for the great scribe work and all the great leadership. And thanks everybody. This is an awesome group. I am really excited to hear everybody, people doing great work. I've been following a lot of you, and yeah, so thanks so much. So I have a presentation that I'll put up on the screen now, and that was not intentional. That was the wrong button. So yeah, it's quite a long presentation, and we only have like about 5 minutes or so. So I'll just try to rush through and just give you a really high level overview. But there's a lot of really exciting things, or a lot of things that I'm really excited about Fractally. So I've also like Cruz. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I've basically just been working as much as I can on Fractally, so I'm excited to share it with you all here, and so I'll get started now. So I'm Dan Singjoy, and the presentation is about what I'm doing to promote the adoption of fractal governance. To answer the questions that Josh and Dan laid out, well, I'll share what I'm doing to raise awareness and inviting people, and in the last couple weeks, I ranked 6. So table of contents, I hope it's big enough for people to see. First, I'll share a brief intro to what I've been doing, and then I'll share about how I've been, what I've been doing to learn fractally, and lots of different things that I'll get to rather than saying here. So it's a work in progress. This presentation, I'm kind of continually doing it every week and making it better with what I'm doing and sharing. So I'm a musician, a creator, and entrepreneur, and I'm working to make the best experience possible. And okay, that makes it much easier. I just rearrange the windows. So yeah, and I'm founder of Dogman Lab. Some people might know me as Dogman, and I'm also founder of a bunch of other fractals that I'm building, and tools and communities and things that work with fractal. I'm very related to fractal. I also have a YouTube channel called Dance Party, where I make music and funny videos and all kinds of content that I'm excited to integrate very much with Fractally in the future. Here's my Eden profile. Maybe I'll stand here so it's easy to see these things. And that basically explains that. Here's my site, dogmanlabs.com, and you can check it out and see writing to see things I'm building, like Eden Creators and Fractal Forums, which I'll talk about a bit more later. And there's also the About page, which explains it. Here's my YouTube channel, Dance Party. I intend to integrate Fractal governance into it. For the past year or so, I've been building Eden Creators to be a fractal, or DAO of DAOs, empower creators and communities and help people understand the benefits of fractal governance. So I'll talk a bit more about that too. Also, EOS Sages is another fractal to help people understand EOS, and DAP Heroes. And then also with Ecos and Eden Creators, I've been building a bunch of kind of like roots and seeds of different fractals, like for surfing and fractal and music and juggling and health and all sorts of things that I think are really helpful for the world. I've also been building Play2 is Global, which is a organization with lots of different creative projects that I've been building to make DAOs and fractals and so forth. So yeah, there's a bunch there, and I'm happy to share more in the future. So I haven't actually updated this because there are a few new things that I learned and I was really busy. But I also listened to the new podcast this week, and basically everything I've been reading and keeping up with. I basically read everything that I can. Just constantly learning about it. And during the first week, I proposed a consensus workflow that we've been using, and I designed some draft images for first fractal, which I'm happy to update when we want to do more branding for this fractal, which I think is a great idea. I also made a bunch of social media posts over the past week and past few weeks. When I participated in the first one, I shared a post and just put a lot of work into just making these posts as helpful as possible to help people understand the benefits of Fractally and share my experience and my love and excitement for this. We won't really have time to read most of this, so I'll just skip over it, and then I'll also share a PDF document so people can read it later if they'd like to, or or if you'd like to. And also, please feel free if you want to ask any questions or jump in, or if anything's confusing at any point, then I'm happy to respond at any point. Yeah, so Dan made a fun post there. I've also been in contact with the Helios team about fractally. Helios, Hernan knows well, is a VC and has an incubator in EOS.io, and they've been very supportive of fractally. So I've been documenting some of our interactions here and sharing some of the great things that they've been doing and helping to promote their work. And yeah, so that's been really cool. I also started co-hosting the EOS Hot Sauce, which is a popular podcast in EOS this week. Did it for the first time, and we had segments about Eden, China, and fractally. What was that, Hernan?
No, I wanted to say congrats on that. I didn't know that.
Oh, cool! Thank you very
I
much.
I love the EOS hot sauce.
Yeah, same here. I've loved it for many years, and I watched so many, and then they invited me to join it this week, so I was super excited, and it was super fun. Yeah, and it was awesome that some of the topics we were able to talk about were Eden, China, which is great, and fractally, and yeah, so I'll show you some pictures of that here. I also made some tweets after, I made this thumbnail to help promote it, and we talked about Eden, China, talked about the Helios podcast with Gabriel, Shaw, and Dan, and we talked about the Dan's invitation, all of our invitation. I'm almost at 5 minutes, so I'll just go really quick now. And I also help promote Felix's work. Felix Ruiz, he makes great videos about fractal governance. So I did that. I also spoke quite a bit about fractal governance in the EOS Fireside chats over the past couple weeks, and people liked it. I spoke for like over an hour, and I was like really passionate and inspired to share a lot. And then this one I spoke for like 10 minutes, and I proposed an EOS fractal, which I think would be really helpful. And I'm kind of making some branding for that. And then I've also been working over the past week on on refining, collecting elevator pitches to help people understand fractally. So I think I want to make some cool videos about that and so forth. I've also been posting in forums and stuff, just answering questions. And again, all these, I'm just skipping through them, but I'll post the PDF so people can read it later. Eden creators I've been building, and I've been building Eden creators like to build timestamps and save things for future to make great content about fractals, basically to help people understand fractally. Ecos also goes along with that, but I don't have time to discuss it now. Fractal Forums is another fractal that I'm aiming to start, and I've been working on for the past month or two. And I've also been making this presentation, and I hope everybody's enjoying it. I put a lot of work into just making this as like nice and beautiful and helpful as possible. So that's what I've been doing to help fractal governance. And thanks everybody for listening. Thanks everybody for being here again. I really appreciate it. Sorry I went a bit over time. It took me like 6 minutes. So I'll try to shorten that next time. But yeah, thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you. And
That's great. That's great. And you don't have to worry about going over time, Dan, because my pitch is going to be super short. So okay. we'll compensate there. So basically, I am. I'll say that I basically just spreading awareness through the both my account with on the EOS Starter community about fractally, and through the EOS Starter and through the EOS Israel Twitter account, which is has a lot of followers considered relative to our community. So that's basically what I've done to raise awareness. I've also been very active on Eden on the conversations on how to adopt fractally, or to create an Eden fractal, or to go or to become kind of the EOS fractal on fractally. So that's what I've been very involved in. I don't have a list of contributions for fractally, so I am very aware that I am not expecting to come out on rank number 6. So I'll leave it there. I do think that according to what Dan said, if we would nuke EOS Israel account tomorrow, it would be damaged. It would be very damaging to the awareness that's been risen about EOS and fractally recently. So I think I've got some points there, but I'm not shooting for a home run here. So that's my pitch. Last time I was ranked 4, the 6, like 3rd place, yeah, 6, 5, 4, in my group. And I see a lot of strong contributors this time. So let's see. But that's basically my pitch. So,
Vernon, did you do any invites this week?
yes, within ES Starter, but I'm not seeing in the, I didn't see them in the Zoom chat, so I don't want to count them or get rewarded for
I think
that.
sending the invite is what matters. Whether they join, yes, we want that too. But
it would be very cool if I could track how many people joined the meeting through the tweets, but that's untrackable. Sorry, so that's not. So yeah.
Okay, Douglas. Before we get to you, Dan, did you have any invites last week?
I invited a lot of people on social media and just talking with people. I haven't been using the system that's built into Mighty Networks. And there are people who said that they would attend, although I haven't followed up to see if they, I mean, some of the people who I've invited are here, although they're also popular, active in the community. So yeah, I've invited quite a few people.
Good. Excellent. Take it away, Douglas.
All right.
It's my turn,
So,
actually.
okay, I'm going to get through the questions first. I got to scroll back up to them. So, what have you done to raise awareness about fractal governance and fractally? So I am going to only talk about this past week. You know, I try to follow like whatever system I'm in, and then so I'm just going to talk about what I did this past week. I'm sort of always generally promoting these things. I can think of like one specific tweet I did about fractal governance. I've also, you know, this is related to the next question. I did post an invite link to this meeting about an hour before this meeting in Twitter. I have not used the system in place on the website to do that as well. But yeah, I was saying like I sort of generally promote these ideas of fractal governance and biomimetic governance, even, you know, before Eden was started, before any of this, because I've been, you know, I designed my first biomimetic fractal economy in 2020. So I did continue that in this past week, sort of promoting these ideas. And the last thing is, how did I rank? I was 6 of 6 last week. Okay, so as far as what I did this week, I've pasted links of things that I did, and all of these things I did not bring up in the last meeting. So when I was ranked 6, I didn't mention this sort of data primitive thing, which is what I think is my sort of biggest contribution this past week. Before I get to that, I did tweet a few times, including inviting people to the meeting. And I don't know if this counts, but I upvoted everyone's Hive posts. Everyone that said, I agree on Fractally, I gave you upvotes, and everybody got like 5 cents worth of Hive. So that's something that we do with my company. We have a bunch of, you know, we have Hive Power, and then we continually upvote music posts because we're a music DApp. So spread some love there. And let me see if I can share my video real quick. Share my screen. Oh, okay. Well, it's saying I cannot share my screen. But yeah, I was going to basically go over this just real quick, this sort of meeting primitive paper I put up. If you've been in a group with me before, you've heard me sort of be like, hey, we need to sort of structure things. We need to get things into a way that an API can digest it, and we can, you know, have a UI that digests these things. And I do understand that we're very early and those things are being developed, but I felt very driven to sort of, you know, put something up. So I did put up a meeting primitives. I have a JSON structure that's just basically just basic information, as well as I talked about, you know, why we need this, so that we can, you know, have this important information and then use this to better communicate our value to each other, as well as, you know, run better meetings that don't go over time. So yeah, that's what I did this past week and how I contributed. Thank you.
Thank you, Douglas. So I just saw Joshua's message that we have 25 minutes left. So thank you for that. Shaw Cruz, am I pronouncing your name right?
Yes, Shacruz.
Shacruz.
Yes, like Tom Cruise, but Shacruz. So I just pasted the link in the chat.
Poster child of Shaquille O'Neal and Tom Cruise.
Yes. If you can open the link I just posted in the chat.
You should share it on your screen. Try to share it on your screen, Shakru, so you drive.
Unfortunately, we
no,
can't share
we
screen.
We can't share screens.
So that's why you guys did it on your background?
I will also, yes. I'm trying to paste the text, but if it's, has anyone been able to open it up? No, I cannot.
I opened it up. Yeah, tell the time.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Let me go through it. So last week I did present a Russian translation to white paper. So my job was doing translation to Russian even more, since I'm multilingual and I'm native in Russian, and it's very easy and fast for me to translate it. I started translating everything. So this week I translated the keynote, because after the white paper, we actually need something that is dense, something that is short, just a quick pitch. That's the keynote, and keynote is actually great. So I translated it to Russian, not only the text, and not only posted it on Hive as a post, on Medium as a post, on Telegram and on Telegram and Discord, but I also created Russian subtitles for the keynote video on YouTube. And I gave them to the Fractally team so they can update it and have Russian subtitles. And besides the subtitles, I generated a good sounding, human sounding narration. And with the help of my friend, we did a video. So we did a Russian version of the keynote video, and we published it on YouTube yesterday. And I posted the link into again, Twitter, Hive, Telegram, Discord, all my media channels. And the keynote. Then I did today I did the contributor agreement and the agenda in the process. These are also important documents that are needed to actually start for a fractal, but also for me as a probable future co-founder of the Russian-speaking fractal. So I'm preparing all the documents in place just beforehand. The contributor agreement and the process. So three translated documents and multiple posts. Then I was speaking directly, personally with people, and I can name you 8 people that I spoke this week, and I explained them the idea of change, the fractal democracy, the fractal governance and management, not only on the global level, but also on the level of a business. For some businessmen, it sounded better. And I invited all of them. I gave them the links. 2 people signed up, and I got these bronze ambassador badge on the Fractally on the site. So that means I have 2 people signed up. One of them is actually on the call right now in another group. Another person, another Russian-speaking person, who used my white paper and then approached me, and then I invited him, and he just got here. So the funnel works. And then I also, the other part of my time, quite a lot of time, I spent on the Fractally GitHub. I wanted to contribute not just the translation, but also the code, because I'm a developer and I can code. So I forked the repository of Eden. I learned how it actually works, the Eden website. I looked at the issues, I looked at the roadmap, and I chose 2 issues, and I fixed them. I committed the code, and I committed the pull request. So I'm already in that, and now I can continue just doing more code work on the code itself, because I think I like working on that code, and I want to contribute to that as well. That's important for me. So translation, publishing, code, and personal invites. That's what I've been through this week.
Very nice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. A lot of passion in this group. I love it.
Yeah.
Tremendous passion. It's amazing to be with you. It's an honor to be with all of you. Okay. So I've been keeping a little list. I've been trying to, I do this as a labor of love because I have a day job. So I figure I spent about 14 hours, investing in what you're about to hear. So I did, I guess I counted six things. And I'll bring up one thing from last week that I thought I wasn't acknowledged for, I'll say. And so let me bring that in first. And that was just the white paper is it's fascinating. It's very important and it's pretty dense. And I think I found an important bug in it that I'm trying to call attention to. So I just want to hear. I want the four of you to have heard that there's this, there's this issue with it. It's just an error that is just going to get in the way of us communicating fractal governance. So I'm trying to get some traction to just bring awareness to it, so whoever's editing the Fractally white paper can acknowledge it and fix it. I don't know how to raise the issue to. I can't pull up a pull request like Chakrouz did for the white paper. And I just think that's important because we're really trying to communicate fractal governance and really trying to get some traction with this idea. And the better we communicate, like it would just be terrible to have errors get in our way. Like, oh, I don't trust that effort because they can't even get their white paper right. I tallied last week's rankings results sort of in parallel. I didn't know that Joshua and I think George Wexler, is that his name? I didn't know that they were doing it too. So I took it upon myself. I posted an article about it in the Go Fractally, and I matched up with their results too. So we both. I don't think there's any errors in theirs for sure. And theirs is the official one. We should be following theirs. So I created a Zoom to CSV parser just to be able to parse this week's chat as well, because I'm trying to just manually track them myself, and I'll just use that to vet against. When Joshua and George post by Tuesday, I'll make sure that the rankings, it's just a sort of a double check to make sure that we're all, recording our rankings correctly. I watched the Helios interview, which I recommend if you haven't seen it yet. Dan's interview, he was interviewed by Gabrielle Shaw. It's an hour and 45 minutes, but it's really excellent. And there were so many tidbits in it that stood out to me. I wrote a small article on gofractally.com about it, just highlighting some of the things that I thought were really important that I didn't really know or appreciate. Dan's a very good communicator. I onboarded 2 people on Go Fractally. Just, when new people show up and they go, well, hey, what's going on? Where do I go? What am I supposed to do next? I try to kind of jump in and give them some small direction on how they might be able to have a good contribution for the weekly consensus that week. And then I continue to work on the Fractally C++ simulator. So I don't have anything to demonstrate yet. I'm just trying to bring awareness to it. I'd love to collaborate with other people about this, and I haven't found anybody who's interested in this yet. But I think it'll help me. It'll help my understanding if I can simulate group size and bad actors, and there's just lots of things. That's what I do in my day job, is I validate and verify things. And so I want to validate and verify our Fractally system and its architecture. That is everything I've done. I did not invite anybody last week, and I ranked 3rd last week. That was 2nd from the bottom. So time to rank number 6. So I think just following Joshua's, so instead of trying to keep 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in our heads, he said, do number 6 first, and then loop back, get number 5, loop back, get number 4. So what do you guys think for the biggest contributor this week?
I just want to appeal to, maybe because all of your contributions are very valuable, I would like to start by saying that on terms of, I think, time spent is if Chakrouz has declared that he's doing full time, and I'm a developer myself as well as a musician, Dan. So I also understand nice. That it seems like we all have our own baby project or full-time job, and Chakrouz is the only one here that's dedicating itself full time to that. So I want to just abide for the amount of time spent that requires. for number 6, and then if that's kind of my thought process right now.
Yeah, I would vote for Shacruz for number 6 because I think that if you think about onboarding an entire Russian community or what he's doing, and if the metric is if you take that away, and if he's sort of integral to bringing on a large group of people, I think that if you were to remove that contribution, it could be a serious impact. So if we are going on what Dan said as far as that specific metric, as well as the time, which is another metric you could use, I would vote for him.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Shacruz is doing incredible work, and over the past week or a couple weeks, I had seen you in the chat, and I saw you were posting some cool things. But I mean, hearing what you're doing, it's incredible with the Russian-speaking community and the translation and the coding. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm good with that too. So Shacruz, you're number 6 this week. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Number 5.
I would like to suggest a metric that Dan mentioned last time. He said, I'm actually looking at the number of people communicated and number of people onboarded. So by the number of people onboarded, I would say Matt, he clearly declares that there are 2 people he onboarded today, and he gave them the directions and instructions and helped them to onboard. I think that is important. And I suppose, this is a clear metric for me just to give Matt the number 5.
I don't disagree. I think onboarding people door to door is kind of it's like a very concrete grain of contribution that's measurable, and it's kind of it seems more tedious, right? Because it's going person to person, but it is kind of the most effective if we take on consideration how do network effects become networks, right? It's when you get a personal invitation and they drive you through their process and help you create the account and say, oh, this is your private key. Yes, you have 2 types of accounts, and so on and so on.
I appreciate the kind words. I'm going to vote against myself only because I heard some other great things from everyone else, and I want to be fair. So I appreciate the acknowledgement, and I do think onboarding is critically important. But I think our mission statement is to bring awareness to fractal governments and to teach others what is this thing, how does it work, why is it important, why should I care, why should I, donate my time, devote my time to you. So I'll just, that's my 2 cents. Where I think onboarding is important, yes, but I don't think I'm deserving of 5 this week.
If I would propose an alternative 5, I think I'd go for Dan, simply because of the amount of network order that he's trying to build. Not only on this past week, but kind of on a potential of what he's proposing there. So that would be a good alternative, number 5.
Yeah, I would also say I actually had a question for Dan, because I think I'm going off the metric of if this person's contributions for the past, if everything was gone away, that's how to see the value. So I see a lot of value in all these sort of fractal communities that Dan is sort of seeding. Whether it's an idea or how far it's moved along, I still think it's very important. The only question is, I wasn't really sure how much of Dan's contributions were in the past week. I noticed the latest tweet I saw on the slideshow is March 5th, I think, which would be putting it further back, and I might have missed something there. And I understand you made the thing before, so that's my question. Dan, how much of that did you do in the past week so we can better gauge?
Yeah, so the past week I've done quite a lot. The presentation does include the past several weeks. The past week, a lot of it I spent preparing for the EOS hot sauce, and I did about a 12-minute segment on fractally Eden there, and I invited everybody to join and shared a lot of excitement there. I also just made a tweet about that yesterday, and I responded and amplified to a tweet from Helios about the Gabriel Shaw interview with Dan. And then I also shared quite a few comments. There's quite a few things I didn't get to display very much in the presentation due to time, but I've done a lot this week. And then also I've done a lot of stuff kind of more behind the scenes this week in terms of like planning out video content for Fractally and planning out audio content as well. And thank you for the question as well. And thank you for the kind words too. I appreciate it.
All right. Yeah. And okay, I would vote for Dan then.
Okay, Matt. So if you seem to think that that's fair, then I guess we would try to vote for Dan for number 5.
I'm good with that. I'm impressed with the outreach, Dan. I think that's awesome. That's only going to help us. We need more people like that, like you. Thanks. Okay, rank 4. Rank 4.
Matt, two people on board. Well, that's very concrete. That's what I like about it.
I think if we can ease up the order, then I guess we would go for Matt and then Douglas and then me last.
Okay. Go ahead, Dan.
I was going to ask, how much time do we have? Because we only have like 4 minutes, something like that we have to reach consensus by. Because I think everybody's doing great work and we can talk about it, but we do have to reach a decision quickly, I think.
Yep.
That's fine with me, Matt, then me, then Hernan.
Good.
Okay. So somebody, I want to hear it again before I paste this. So it's Shacruz and then Dan and then
you.
Me. Okay, that's who I'm missing. And then Douglas and Hernan. So I will paste this. And please, someone double check, make sure I've got that right.
Cool. Well, thanks, Matt. And thanks again, everybody, so much. This has been like incredible to see everybody doing like such awesome work. And I've been following, like I said before. So yeah, I thank you, Douglas. It's great to finally meet you. We texted a bit, and it's great to see your work and hear from you. And also Hernan, of course, too. And Matt, thank you.
Yeah, it's my hope that I get to interact with more of you in this coming week. So please feel free to reach out. I do want to get to know you better. I do want to learn more about what you're interested in. So that'll be well received.
I was going to say the rank order in like the document said it had to say rank first. So I'm not sure if that was what we should do or not, but that might be something to clarify to see how the other groups did it.
I was reading from the agreement document. It said to be sure to. This is my interpretation of that document. So let's call that out, Dan, to make sure that we were a little confused. I read it to be name at Hive, comma, space, and then the next rank 6 down to rank 1. Oh, yeah. That's right. I'm missing rank 1. I've got to say rank 1 at none. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
I suppose so. I mean, also, I think the document said like rank 6, Shacruz at Hive, rank 5, Dancing Joy at Hive, and I'm not sure. I mean, this looks cleaner, so I'm just not sure what's better. And it's probably not a big deal. It's kind of more like technical and clerical, so it's probably not worth talking about. I would love to hear, just exciting ideas if anybody wants to talk about something else, and then we can figure this out later, I suppose.
Yeah, I can talk. I'm super grateful to be here with you all. It's nice to meet you, Dan, and I'll have to check out your dancing. I'm so supportive of creative expression in all forms, and thank you for sharing your energy and your creativity and pushing that forward in this forum. It's good to see you too, Matt, again, and I'm very interested in your modeling. I think that's really, really cool. What I wanted to say is, so I have this GitHub repo. It's on the under EOS community. It's called Meta Eden, and I kind of did it for Eden so we can like share ideas. And it's where I posted this meeting primitive. So I just wanted to invite you all the coders or non-coders, if you have ideas that you want to contribute. I haven't seen any sort of official way to write a proposal. Maybe you could go to the Fractally GitHub and try there. Or if you want a lower barrier to entry, as well as I do have like an EOS prize, like I give you free EOS if you contribute to the repo. So yeah, if you have some ideas, they're more than welcome at that EOS community is the GitHub repo, and then, or I mean the account, and then Meta Eden is the.
So you already posted that, is that right, Douglas?
Yeah, I posted that, and there's a link in the chat to it. But yeah, it's the EOS community repo. It's in their repo, or I mean, it's in their account. It's the repo called Meta Eden. I've just sort of expanded it to accept fractally ideas.
Yeah, I'll just say thanks, Douglas. I've been following your work with that GitHub repo, and it's been super inspirational. I haven't made time to make a request yet, but I've studied it greatly, and I think it's a great idea. And I'm really excited. And then also all your work with, like, you have so much work on your websites that I've explored for a while. It looks awesome, and I love your help with music and designing biomimetic systems and stuff. So, yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you.
For now, I want to acknowledge. Sorry, interrupted. Sorry for over talking. Hernan, I wanted to acknowledge, like, I don't know you said something that really stood out, and you said if EOS Israel went away today, it would be a big deal. That really kind of stuck in my brain. I want to know more about that. You should definitely bring that up next week. As you ranked number 2 this week. You should, my sort of advice to you is to not let that go, and to make sure people are aware of exactly what that means. I don't know what that means.
Oh, no, don't worry, man. I'm not going to list it because I got listed last time. If you've just tracked the amount of FUD, hatred, and shit posting I've gotten through the years being EOS Israel, you're not getting more respect tokens. It's definitely not going to kill the EOS Israel vibe or the account. So no worries there.
Well, one of the quotes from Dan Larimer in his Helios interview last week was, every weekly, this was the most important quote to me, every weekly consensus meeting is guaranteed to be unfair by design. So
I was really I was banging the door on how how socially problematic is to be ranking the last spots. It's pretty it's a great conversation when all discussing what's the greatest contribution. It's complicated to see, oh, I'm around last, but now that I've experienced it, because this is the first time that I come in last, it's not that bad. I'll still participate. It's not like, maybe that's just me, but I'm not getting demotivated because I came in on last. So that's me.
Yep, I agree with you. And I think the important thing was that, like what Dan was saying, is that it's averaging over time. Like, we want to average over the wisdom of the crowds, right? Like this is a crowd of 6, which is not that big. We want to average over 7,796 people over time. And the theory is the randomness and the quality of the people should recognize contributions. And we should, like, our ranking really matters after we've contributed for a sum of time. It's not just a one and done type of an effort.
Do you guys think?
All right, 1 minute left, guys.
I just gonna ask you one question in a private setting. Do you guys think that the Hive thing is going to go for longer? Because I have no Hive. I have a Hive, so I should probably buy some if this is going to be the ongoing method for posting consensus and listing the accounts and stuff.
It sounds like yes. I mean, he was talking about making it blockchain agnostic, but like, if we're going to have posts that are, we have to value, I think Hive's the only option that I'm aware of.
I think that's the plan until the fractally software is built on EOS.io probably. And so for the next coming months, probably, I guess.
Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks for the input.
You're welcome. And thanks again, everybody, so much.
Recording in
cover
progress.
all our needs, you know. So it takes a little more work, but rolling your own is going to go a long way.
Gregory, I have a friend in a startup called 100ms who make this video integration and communication easier. Do let me know if you want me to connect him.
Sure. Just send me an email, gregory@fractally.com.
Gregory.
And yeah, gregory@fractally.com.
All right, everybody should be back from their breakout rooms now. If you haven't already, please publish your list to the chat so we can save it and aggregate it into this week's results. Since there are only 5 or 6 groups, I'm going to suggest that we only keep it at one level of groups until we get
critical mass.
Yeah, more people, right? So until we have 100 people show up, let's just keep it as one round. So some things to go over that came up in my group this week. We had a ton of great contributors. I'm sure most of you probably experienced the same thing. There's so many people doing so much in the industry, in the space, and for fractally that it gets really, really hard. We were split on how to allocate the last 2 slots, and we both felt that the last 2 slots deserved more, but there were just so many good people in the group, which forced us to get a little bit finer point on what types of things are worthy of higher ranking. And one of those things that came to mind is what are people doing specifically because fractally exists that they would not be doing if fractally did not exist? And asking that particular question highlighted that people who specifically invited people to fractally or got people to sign up for fractally was valued higher in the group in the end than somebody creating a tool. Mark was creating Titbit and other things that facilitate all types of stuff that helps ESBs, which is helping. So it's like an indirect thing, but the deciding factor ended up being that Mark would have been doing that with or without fractally. And we wanted to recognize people that were doing things specifically that would not exist were it not for fractally, because those are the real public goods for fractally. Whereas things, but if people have other profit motives, other incentives, then those are actually private goods, right? And so we wanted to focus more on the things that are public goods that would not be compensated by any other mechanism. Mark playing devil's advocate. So, well, what about all the fractally team members that they're also being paid? But the fractally team members are splitting everything they earn with fractally, and the fractally investor group that is funding all their salaries is not getting paid anything for fractally, and it would not exist otherwise. So that's just some of the interesting nuances that came out of our group. I'd like to take some questions now. Matt?
Question and feedback. So I was the scribe for my group, Joshua, and I couldn't hit the record button. I wanted to record our meeting. So if for next week, if you could give those privileges to group members or tell us that you don't. Last week we were encouraged to record the meetings, and I couldn't do it this week. So just that feedback.
Okay.
And then Dan, feedback on what you just said. There was tremendous. I'm pretty astounded at how much passion there was in my group. It kind of leaps through the screen. It's a unique experience for me. I've never really seen that before. And to quote you in your Helios interview, you said any given week is guaranteed to be unfair. I think that's an important reminder for all of us, because it was really hard for me to do that rank order. And I go back to another quote you had, which is really, we're looking for the wisdom of the crowds. And you really, 6 is not a crowd. You need to average over a group over time to be able to realize your contribution will be recognized over time, as long as you maintain consistency in trying to contribute to this group.
Yeah, I'd like to add another habit, which I think is good for the culture. And that habit is to show appreciation. Right? Just telling people, thank you, I love what you're doing, keep it up. that has value. People need to hear those types of things. And so if anyone is doing anything in your group that you are glad that they're doing, that's benefiting you, share that with them. And if you have a culture of sharing that appreciation, that goes a long way, even though we're forced to make a consensus. We almost had to resort to randomness for the last 2 slots, but we ended up breaking the tie. So that was just another thing to consider. Thank you. Andrew.
Yeah, I'm just curious. You mentioned that whatever respect tokens the fractally team is getting is being distributed among the fractally team. Are you guys using the sort of team paradigm that's laid out in the white paper for that?
Effectively, what we're saying is we're going to allow everyone here to join a team. And what you can do is we're going to, as you get more Hive integration, you can just publish to Hive what team you're on, or you can publish to the chat group. If you'd like to form a team, just tell us all, we'll record it, we'll document it, your team will be formed. And then going forward, every week, in addition to the respect you're earning for an individual, your team will get a bucket of respect. And then when the final smart contract is deployed, your team can reach consensus on how to allocate that respect. So one of the great ways to double the amount of respect that you're earning is to find other people on this call, intentionally form a team, and then as this matures, you'll have you can reach consensus among yourself as far as how to divide up those team rewards. And with the the fractally team has basically agreed to is, hey, the company's paying their salary, the company's going to get half, and the salaries are and the employment contracts are governing how everything's being divided. So that's how the fractally team is operating. Now, fractally team can't get any bigger, so there's actually going to be multiple fractally teams as we go from 12 people to 20 people. There'll be team A and team B, and each of those sub teams will have to reach consensus internally and so forth. But that's it's going to be critical to the governance process as well. As this community grows and takes on autonomous governance, the team leads are going to be the ones that are relevant for that. So let's make it a goal to increase teams and to identify team metrics for success. Marco.
Will teams overlap as far as scheduled meetings?
Teams are something that you're on. If your team decides to have meetings, that's up to your team. If your team is not having meetings, that's also up to your team. When you appear in these meetings, you say, I'm on this team. You should come up with a team name, and everyone can identify which team you're on. And we'll probably, in addition to your Hive name, comma, which team you're on, just so that everyone can kind of understand. And then when you pitch in your weekly meeting, you say, this is what I've done, and I'm on this team, and this is what our team's doing. And so you're compensating both the team and the individual when you're selecting them. Martin.
Yeah, speaking about teams, that's something, will it be also integrated in the whole like final product UI? And will it also be basically on chain who they make their representative and how they get to this process?
The interface that I'm working on with the team, Brandon, yes, everything will be online. When you're appearing on video, you'll have your team icon badge being shown. You'll be able to see the team stats as well as the individual stats of all the members right in the UI, so you can kind of at a glance see what's going on. Each team should produce a team report, and then each individual produce an individual report, and then those things can all get aggregated and documented, and then consensus can be built around those primitives.
And is there a reason they're not called microfractals instead of teams? I know it's a stupid question.
We're learning the term fractal, yes. Subfractals, primarily because the team's not subdivided into other things. It's kind of a leaf. Fractal is a group of people that have a fractal internal structure. But yes, we tend to use the word fractal everywhere, and then it starts to become meaningless because everything's just a fractal. All of life is a fractal.
So next week, the information I presented in the beginning, we're going to begin having a meeting before this meeting. It'll still be the same Zoom link, but I'm going to, because we can do this, I'm going to create a separate event that is easy for everyone to RSVP to. So if you have new people that you want to invite and you want to get them oriented, when you notice that this other event exists, maybe bring that to their attention, and so people can show up early, at least 30 minutes early. I may even eventually put something together that is like a full hour, but starting next week, if you show up 30 minutes early, there's going to be some presentation and some interaction, kind of helping people get ready for the meeting. And we're going to probably move toward cutting the meeting down to shorter time frame, except for when we start going to other rounds, it'll get longer.
Yes, and on that note, I want to thank everyone who showed up here on time for the initial meeting. Just because we have a meeting going beforehand, if you join, please wait to speak if there's still training going on for the new beginners until the appointed time at the start of this meeting, which should be at 11 Central.
This is Gregory. I just want to make one comment with regards to possible Zoom limitation. If you've posted your list back to the main meeting chat here, and the moderators were on or not, Joshua and or Daniel, the text of your post may have not gotten captured. So if you can, please post your list again. If you see it in your chat log, just copy and paste it back in the chat. Doesn't matter if you do it multiple times, just that we catch one instance, just to make sure that we have it back in the main chat. Thank you.
Mark, here.
Yeah, thanks. Two questions. I think we've said that in the long run, say within a year time frame, we won't be using Hive. We'll be using another blockchain or EOS. Is that true? And two is, what is the first time we're going to be able to get our hands on the new video platform that's planned?
I hope to be able to reveal a beta version of the experience sometime this summer, and then to have the final on-chain experience, basically a testnet version of what we're doing this summer, and then a mainnet version later.
So that's it. You say it would be EOS based mainnet. That would be the only blockchain.
I'm not committing to an EOS-based platform at this time. We're waiting to see what happens with the EOS network.
Understand. Definitely moving away from Hive, though. True.
Hive is only being used in the short term because we don't have to write any code to use it.
Copy all. Thanks.
All right. It is 12:34 Central Time. Thank you guys for contributing. In this next week, let's attempt to get the membership up for this group. There's one other thing that we're contemplating doing. Jay mentioned it in our group. I want to highlight that this is a concept. It's not explicitly in the white paper, but the fractally team can attest that this was presented. The idea of having a raffle position, which is equal to the membership count. So if there's 33 people here, one person will get 33 units of respect at random. So everyone has a chance of a pretty big win just for showing up. So that's one of the things that we're investigating, how we can do both legally and practically. And so once everyone's got a Hive account, then we can alphabetically sort the Hive account, and then we can use the Bitcoin block hash to draw from that random sampling. But we'd have to come up with those explicit rules. So if you like that idea, please leave feedback in the Telegram chat or on GoFractally, genesis.gofractally.com, and that would be an interesting thing, because one of the goals is to have fun. Raffles are fun. Who doesn't like a good raffle? You never know what you're going to get, and it recognizes the that no particular week is guaranteed to be fair. Over time, it is fair, and by having the raffle there, we're explicitly acknowledging the fact that, hey, this person didn't do anything other than get lucky this week, but over time, everyone's going to get lucky equally, and assuming that you attend every single week. So it's got its own kind of fairness to it. And the reason why I say it's one per member is because it completes the Fibonacci sequence, which normally starts as 1, 1, 2, 3, whereas we've been starting at 1, 2, 3. So that first one is going to be randomly assigned. That was the rationale for it, in case anyone was curious. All right. Well, I don't want to take any more time than necessary. Thank you guys so much for showing up, and I will see you at the same time next week.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys. And girls. That was really, really fun. See you next week.
Yeah, thanks so much, everybody. Bye, guys. Thank you.
You guys. Later.
Thank you, guys. Peace.
Thanks.
Have a good one. Bye bye. See you next week.
Thank
Go
you very
Fractally.
much for all. Yes. Huh? Okay.